They told me it would get easier once people understood, but the first day never forgets you. I was 6, new backpack, new shoes, with the lights in the heels. Don't judge standing at the iron gates of Crestview Prep, and a girl with ribbon-perfect braids stepped in front of me like she owned the sidewalk. "You don't belong here," she said. Bright smile, mean eyes. 2 friends flanked her like backup dancers. I tried to slide past. She bumped my shoulder light like she was testing a fence. My pencils spilled. The pink eraser bounced once, twice, like even it wanted to run. Laughter did this little ripple thing, soft at first, then loud when people realized who the joke was. I'd promised my dad I'd breathe before I swung, so I breathed. In, out, just like Coach Eli taught me in the living room, tiny gloves and a towel for a cape. I bent to pick up my notebook and she slapped it out of my hand so the pages opened to that big, blocky handwriting only first graders think is grown up. "Don't," I whispered mostly to myself. "Make me." She grinned. I didn't. I stepped sideways when she lunged. Let her weight do what weight does, and she ate 2 feet of sidewalk with a very expensive gasp. No one laughed then, at least not out loud. That's when Principal Dalton's voice cracked through the air. Enough, and somehow his finger found me, not her. "Young lady, this is not how we behave at Crestview," he said, pointing, like I was a stray dog that got into the wrong yard. "She shoved me," I said. Small voice, big truth. "Excuses," he snapped. "Children like you should know better. Children like you." It slid under my skin, cold and quick. I stood there, fists at my sides, feeling my heartbeat up in my throat, and then I heard a voice I know better than my own. "She's with me." The crowd cracked down the middle. My dad, Marcus Grant, walked through like the hallways moved for him because they kind of do. Tall, dark jacket, that quiet look he gets right before someone underestimates him. He put a hand on my shoulder, just 2 fingers light, and said, "You will not speak to my daughter that way. There are moments your whole body grows an inch in a second." That was mine. I wasn't the kid with the spilled pencils anymore. I was his. "You should know this part, I'm adopted. He found me when I was 2, and the story they write about us always has the words tech billionaire in it, as if love needs a balance sheet." At home that night, he dabbed antiseptic on the scrape at my knuckle and asked, "Did you have a choice?" "No," I said. "They wouldn't stop." "Then you did what you had to." He nodded. "But remember, your voice is stronger than your fists, and kindness isn't weakness, it's control." I carried that to day 2 like armor. It didn't stop the whispers. New schools are ecosystems, predators, followers, the one kid who knows every teacher's first name. The girl with the ribbons, Savannah, wore a sling like she'd been hit by a truck. Funny, since I'd barely brushed her. I kept walking. A boy with narrow shoulders and fearless eyes peeled away from the wall and fell into step with me. "Noah," he said like a handshake. "My grandma says if you don't have anything kind to say, write it down and throw it away." "Does it work?" I asked. "No," he said, dead serious, "but it buys time." We sat together at lunch. I learned he collects facts the way other kids collect cards. I learned Savannah does not like being ignored. That afternoon, she found a microphone at the fall welcome night, because of course, crest of prestige schools have fall welcome nights, and ran a surprise presentation on belonging. The lights dimmed, the projector hummed, and up popped a magazine cover with my dad's face, followed by an article headlined, "Grant Adopts Child from City Shelter." When I tell you a ballroom can hold its breath, believe me. Savannah smiled with all her teeth. "Can money buy family?" she asked, tilting her head like a newscaster interviewing a guilty man. I felt my chest get small, the room stretch long, and then Noah's hand was on the back of my chair. Steady, not pushing, not pulling. Just there. I stood up. My voice was tiny and clear at the same time. I was adopted. I said, which means I was chosen, and I chose back. Someone coughed, someone filmed, and then my dad's voice rolled from the back like thunder after the flash. "She's my daughter," he said, "by love, by law, and by the 1,000 small mornings we've survived together." He didn't raise his voice. He never needs to, but people heard it in their ribs. Savannah smiled for the cameras that weren't there. But humiliation has a long memory. The next week I opened my locker and a confetti of ketchup packets and crumpled worksheets came down like a bad party. On top, answer keys, the kind adults swear kids can't get. Principal Dalton didn't ask questions. Suspended, he said so quick you'd think he'd practiced. Dad arrived the way storms arrive, unavoidable quiet at the edges. He lifted one paper by the corner. No fingerprints, no chain of custody, no witness. "You're reaching for a conclusion you wanted before the bell rang," he said, calm as a surgeon. Dalton flushed the color of a warning sign. The suspension evaporated. Funny how that happens, but the rumor didn't. "She cheats, and he covers the hallway." Sang. Noah found me with a printout group chat screenshots of Savannah bragging. Dalton fell for it. Too easy. Before we could breathe, Savannah snatched it, smiled, crushed the paper in her fist, dropped it into a puddle. Ink spidered into nothing. "Face it," she whispered, breath sugar sour, "you'll never win. You're a story, not a student." I didn't swing. I went home and sat in the window until the city blurred. Dad knelt like he always does when he wants eye level. "I didn't buy you," he said softly. "I loved you until the word stuck." I slept hard, woke light and still storm in my stomach. That morning the gym was open for indoor recess, rain sideways Seattle style, and Savannah stood center court like a game show host. Truth or dare, she called. I dare Lena to climb the rope to the rafters if she really belongs. Teachers looked at their shoes. Kids looked at their phones. Noah said, "Don't." I looked up. The rope was thick, rough, high enough to make God nervous. Leaving because bullies push you out is surrender. My dad had said, choosing a new path is power. Somewhere between those sentences I stood. Hands burned, forearms shook. Halfway up I slipped, and the whole room gasped like I fell through their chests. But I didn't. I found the knot with my foot. I reached. I touched the metal beam, cold real, and I climbed back down with my heart pounding in my teeth. No smile, no bow, just floor beneath me. Knees, steady walk straight through a crowd that didn't know what to do with quiet. Savannah's eyes went glass hard. Escalation is the bully's law. 2 days later, on the snowy blacktop, she shoved me once, twice, waiting for me to give her the footage she wanted. "Hit me," she hissed. "No," I said, and it hurt more than any punch I'd ever thrown. Principal Dalton saw the last 5 seconds he always did and barked that line again. "Children like you." And something inside me fell very still. My dad's coat flared in the wind as he stepped between us. "If you cannot protect the small," he told Dalton, "you don't get to manage the big." Parents looked away. Teachers inventoried guilt, and for the first time a few kids pocketed their phones. The board called an emergency review of leadership standards. Dalton started practicing the word retire. Savannah started planning bigger. You could feel it like ozone before lightning. Winter assembly family in the seats. Trophy cases gleaming a banner with a motto, "No one believes past 9th grade." Savannah took the stage in white, talked about honesty like she'd invented it, and the screen behind her flashed those same headlines. I stood before my dad did this time. My voice wasn't tiny anymore. "Stop hiding behind my life," I said. "If we're talking honesty, Let's start with the test keys you planted, the shove on the ice, the dare that put me 20 feet up on a rope. That's not school spirit, that's cruelty with better lighting. She tried to laugh. Prove it. I can. Noah said, standing up so fast his chair skittered, holding his phone high. Screenshots. Timestamps your username. I backed them up to cloud before you killed the print. You can measure a room by the sound it makes when the truth shows up. This one did a soft breaking murmurs, a few claps that turned into a wave. Dad put a hand on my shoulder, but he didn't speak over me. He didn't need to. He waited. He let me finish my own first win. I'm different. I said not wrong. Chosen, not bought. I belong because I'm here doing the work, breathing the air, trying again the next morning. Savannah left the stage with her chin high and her eyes glassy. You pick your exit in this life. The board made announcements about investigations and community values, and people lined up after to touch my arm and say they were sorry they hadn't known. Funny how that works. You always knew, you just didn't want the trouble. We drove home with the heater on full blast, my pendant warm against my skin from all the hands, all the lights. Did I do the right thing? I asked, cheek against the window, city smeared into stars. You told the truth, Dad said. It outlasts everything else. Here's the part that doesn't fit into a neat bow. Savannah didn't vanish. Kids like that don't just evaporate, they regroup. Some parents sent careful emails with words like context. The board issued a statement that said a lot and promised little. Dalton took a leave. A new interim head shook every hand like it would save him. And the morning after, somebody still whispered as I passed, habit dies slower than hate. But Noah slid next to me on the steps and handed me half a cinnamon roll and said, "You're trending in homeroom," and we laughed way too hard for the hour. I tied my shoe, checked my breath walk to class. Belonging isn't a place. Turns out it's a practice. If you've ever been told you're not from here, if someone ever tried to measure you with a ruler they invented, tell me below. Was I right to stand up at the assembly to call it by its name? Or should I have stayed quiet and let the system handle it? Have you watched a school, a job, a neighborhood choose reputation over a kid's dignity? Drop your story. Who was right? Who was wrong? What justice should look like when the cameras aren't rolling? And if you believe chosen beats bought every day of the week, say it out loud in the comments, because somebody who needs it is reading tonight.